What's going on, my beautiful people? Yes, indeed, it is a fresh episode of The Truth from the Booth. I am your host, DJ Prophet, also known by my government name, Chris Figueroa. Today's very special episode, I believe it's episode 14, right? So thank you to all of you who've been supporting. Thank you to everyone that has joined and followed back on the brand new Instagram page. Yes, we are official. YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. We are on all platforms now representing the podcast. But today we have a very special guest in the house. It's always a special guest on The Truth from the Booth because it's people that I love, admire, respect, and think that you should know more about. Do your homework, as they say. Rest in peace, my boy DJ Nels, who always used to say that, do your homework. And he is a Los Angeles global worldwide DJ legend. I've known this man for over 20 years. He has been in the game much longer than that. He is a inspiration. He is a motivator. He is a workhorse. He is a blue collar superstar DJ. He is DJ Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea, welcome to the Truth from the Booth.
Wow, what an intro. Global, huh?
Global, yeah.
I
The
like
internet
that.
has made everyone global,
Yeah, hell yeah. Nowadays for
right?
sure.
So here
Yeah,
we are,
yeah.
right now, right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, welcome, man. Thank you for taking the time. You know, I've been trying to lock you down, and if you haven't looked at this man's schedule, you will know why he's hard to get a hold of. He is fully booked. He is, like I said, a blue collar workhorse and superstar DJ. We were just talking off the air. I had to cut him off because we were about to get into his legendary career and coming up on a very special anniversary. So Paul, let them know what we are approaching here shortly at 2026.
Man, it's I'm gonna date myself. That's the
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
part. Like
yeah,
I gotta date myself
legendary,
now, Because before I say that, what's funny is first of all, thank you for having me, man. I've been watching your podcast. I think it's awesome that you're doing this. It's something, to be honest with you, I've thought about doing, but I haven't been able to put the time and the commitment into it. With as many G's as I know I could get a lot of guys to, get involved, but
yes.
it's just having the time to do it is so hard. But I'm glad that you're doing it and somebody that's close to me that's doing it. So, but yeah, man, it's crazy because as I was saying, I was talking to a friend of mine, last week, and we're just talking about life and whatnot. And I told him, I said, you know what? And I hadn't thought about it until then. I said, dude, like next year's going to be a milestone for me. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, it's going to be 40 years. He's all, what? He goes, how old are you? And I go, well, there you go. See, and here's the crazy part. What, as long as we've been doing this, maybe even pre-social media, we can get away with telling people, whatever we want to tell them. And, nobody's going to, look into it kind of deal. Right. And I've hit it for a long time. So this is almost an exclusive because I've never talked about age on anything. Like I have conversations with people, but I'm never saying any, like I'm this old or I'm that or whatever. But yeah, man, it's going to be 40 years that I started DJing. It'll be 35 in the nightclub scene, which is
Wow.
insane.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man, it's pretty wild. I mean, it was something that from the beginning, like I was 14 years old when I started DJing, and I got introduced to it to, a really close friend of mine, my buddy Frank, who is now my cousin because he's married to my cousin. But he was the one that introduced me to it, and I fell in love with it immediately. And as soon as that happened, there was no more, not that I had it before, but there was no toys, hardly any sports. My first year DJing, when Christmas came along, I begged my mom to take me to the DMC Records in LA to buy music. So it was one of those things that I just fell in love with, man. And 3 years later, I got my opportunity to work in a real nightclub, and then I never looked back. That was it. Since then, and as you know, probably since then, sometimes there's certain years that, you're not making the money. You got to take jobs here and there, but the priority was always DJing. So I've worked in a warehouse. I've worked as a manager of a shoe store. I've done all that stuff to make ends meet. But at the same time, it never stopped me from looking at the next step and saying, okay, well, we're going to do this temporarily, and then I'm going to get back to what I need to do.
Right, because
And
most people do the opposite. They commit to the job and then half commit to DJing, and when it gets scary, when the DJing isn't cutting it, they stick to the job. and
You
to
know what? That's a good point. And here's another one too, because I do talk about this with other people, specifically as the older cats that have been around for a while. We all talk about shit like this. And you know what it is that to your point, there are career people that have gone with their careers in certain paths, right? They've done whatever that is. They've either gone to school for it or they landed a pretty good job, career, whatever. And then they've kind of picked up DJing along the way. I used to be very, very hard on that topic. And what I mean by that, I was like, these people are not going to take it seriously, because they have their paycheck. And that was the biggest difference from the time that I can remember, even till now. It's like, there were times, man, where you got to decide between gas and food, and it's like, do I need I need to get to the gig, but I'm not going to be able to eat kind of deal. Right. So, when you see people that are financially stable and they take on a position that you've turned into a career and they don't take it as serious, it's like, well, wait a minute, man, like, how do you expect me to treat you with any kind of respect in terms of the art when you're not even taking it seriously in that sense? And it's not that they're not talented or it's not that they don't have some kind of love for it, but they just don't treat it the way that we do. And over time now I've kind of let that go because, thanks to Serato, man, like everybody became a DJ. That once that happened, it was crazy. So there was no stopping the tidal wave of
Right,
people
yeah.
that wanted to do it. So you just have to deal with it and just say, hey, you know what? There's certain things that I'm gonna approve and certain things I'm not, and I'm just gonna, let it slide kind of deal. So I became a more of a silent person with a lot of that shit.
I think that the early to your point, I really love what you said there, but to put it in a box would be the older generation of DJs really fell in love with the art of it, almost like as if it was a female or male, like for females, male, like someone that we're actually in a relationship, in a loving, committed relationship with.
Totally.
So then when other people don't respect that love that we have, we take offense to it. We protect our
100%.
art and our soul and our love and our passion as if we were protecting someone that we were dating or in love with.
Totally. Totally. That's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah, for sure.
And I think that some of the misconception of older guys being bitter is their perception is that we hate on the young guys. Not that. I think it's that we love it so much that we hate to see it in somebody's hands that disrespects it. It's
I
okay
agree.
for everyone to love it. As long as you love it as much as we do, please join us. And I think that's where the brotherhood comes in the DJing is the people that actually love it equally to you, you kind of allow into your relationship with it. Does that make
No,
sense?
I agree. Yeah, totally. And it doesn't have to be. Here's the thing. Respect for things comes on different levels, right? Like you're going to find people that are going to be on the same page as you and then obviously you're going to find people that are below and above you. And I think that, the art of DJing, you said it perfectly. When we were doing it, we fell in love with the art, and we wanted to know more. We wanted to know more about music. We wanted to know more about the at that particular time the technology of it and what was going on with it and it became part of our DNA. I think what has changed, probably the biggest thing, I'm gonna sound like an old man when I say this, but it's the truth. The biggest thing that's changed is there's a lot of DJs, even older cats that have just gotten into it, that have seen the spotlight and they're like moths to the flame. They're going to the spotlight and wanting the notoriety and the popularity before the talent, right? Right, exactly. So with us, we knew there was a diagram that you had to follow, right? You had to learn it, you had to do it, you had to perfect it, and then with that became the popularity. With that came the notoriety, and when I was coming up, man, way before social media, you knew who the top dog was in each city, right? You knew that if you went to this place or that place, you heard the rumors of who was the top guy or the best DJs or whatever it was, right? Back then there was a lot of battling too. Kids don't do that anymore either, by the way. I
Well,
remember doing that.
I think the difference went from respect to clout.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's the big difference because clout is not respected. I think we were chasing respect from the people that were above us and
Yeah.
more experienced and the people that we looked up to rather than the clout of the general public right? Now it's
Well,
caught up.
cloud is not it's temporary, that's why. Cloud is
Yes, it's
yeah,
minuscule
cloud is
second.
something that is gonna be hot for a minute, and it's not gonna be around forever. To hold clout, for somebody to be in something where they have to hold clout every day, you know how hard that is to do?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's not even it's impossible, you know, but when you have talent and you have a reputation that backs the talent and back and forth, then that speaks for itself, and I think that that's the thing that has kept me going for as long as it is. I mean, aside from that, and it's going to sound cliche when I say this, the thing that keeps me going, man, is just being able to see smiles on people's faces. It's always been that way for me, you know. And the times that I have done, you know, which is very seldom, that I've done any type of interviews or talks about it, I've always said that. I said the only thing that matters has ever mattered to me is if it's 20 people or 2,000 people in front of me, I want to make sure that people are having a good time because you know, I want them to remember me. That was something coming from a small city. You know, I grew up in Fillmore, California, right in Ventura County. It's a very small city. You know, there's no neighboring cities. Like you have to travel 9 miles in each direction to get to the next city, right? And I remember being a kid and starting to DJ and looking at the hill and thinking to myself, what's on the other side of that hill? Not realizing it was Thousand Oaks and Westlake and all this other stuff, right? And so when I finally got the opportunity to get over the hill as a kid, you know, and started seeing all this other world and whatnot, it just, you know, I fell in love with it. And then when I got the opportunity to DJ in some places, that was it. I've because of what you were just saying earlier, the passion and the love and taking it on for what that face value is. But now you're in an environment where it absorbs it. You're hooked after that. That's done. Now you have there's a there's a stability of it to you that's like, "Wait a minute, people actually like me doing this. Like, they like what I'm doing," you know what I mean? So, it's like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." Like, "Oh, wait a minute, now I can get a paycheck doing this?" The first club that I ever DJ'd at, bro, first club I ever DJ'd at,
where
this was the Red Onion in Thousand Oaks. If you're an OG in this area, particularly in this area, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I went to, Cal Lutheran, so I spent a little bit
Oh
of
my
time
god, you did? I didn't know that. Wow, okay, okay.
for
So the Red Onion
a very short time, but yes, I'm familiar, yes.
Okay, yeah. So the Red Onion, they had 14 stores or 14 restaurants, I should say. Only 3 of them were doing well by the time they closed. Thousand Oaks, I believe it was San Diego, and I think the one in Woodland Hills, if I'm not mistaken. But they used to have college nights. College night, that's another thing too. You don't see very many college nights anymore. Back then, every single nightclub had their 21 and over spots, and then they had their night dedicated to college night, which was basically 18 and over. So I remember going to this club, man, and, you know, back then too, by the way, a lot of people don't know this. There's some people that know this. I used to be a heavy, heavy break dancer, bro. Huge, huge, huge. So we used to go to all these venues, particularly to meet chicks, but the number one priority was to let people know who we were. And if we got into that circle and battled, man, we were going to do it. So come to find out, this 18 and over in Westlake in Thousand Oaks had that, and it was the Red Onion. So we went there. I made my presence known, and I became a regular there. I was coming there. People knew me, Sweet Pea the dancer. They didn't even know I was a DJ yet, right?
Understood.
So we ended up doing that, and I made friends with the DJ that was there, and he gave me my first break. We're friends to this day. He lives in Florida now. We've been friends for 30 something years, man. And he was the guy that opened it up for me. And I remember that day. This is a crazy story. I'm gonna tell you a couple stories, but this is one of them. This
Music.
is how I got my foot in the door with the nightclub, right? So I'm 17 years old. I'm going to this 18 and over, underage, by the way, but I knew people, so I'm getting in. By the time I was at the top, at the height of my popularity with that, it was all dancer. Like people knew, like once the circle opened up, there's like 20 guys. We all go at it. People going crazy. We were having fun. So I made friends with the DJ. Shout out to Emery. You know, he loved it. He loved what we were doing and whatnot. So I'm kicking it with him in the booth, and a friend comes up requesting a song. By the way, we're gonna talk about that too. Request, the whole
You know
request thing.
Henry?
Not Henry from LA, Power 106 Henry. This is Emery with an M.
Okay, Emery. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And so the guy looks over and he tells Emery, he says, "Hey, did you know that Sweepy knows how to DJ?" And he looks at me and goes, "What?" And he goes, "You know how to DJ?" And he says, He says, "How come you never told me? How come you never said?" And I've known this guy. I've known him for like 6 months, maybe 6 to 10 months at this point. And I said that, I'm not going to say anything. This is your thing, man. Like you're not a hungry DJ at that point, right? You're not a guy that's looking for a gig. Not like these kids now, man. Kids now, like boom,
Get
boom,
their
boom, boom,
shit
boom. They
straight out
don't
the
give a
box, straight out the
they don't
box.
give a shit. They're like it's almost to the point. Kids nowadays will say, "I'll pay you to let me play," kind of deal, right? So um, so he says, "You know what? Let's give you a shot." I'm like, "What? What do you mean give me a shot?" So he gets on the microphone. He's all, "What's up, everybody? Blah, blah, blah. How many people know who this guy is?" Obviously, everybody knows who I am. "How many people know that this guy knows how to DJ?" They're all, "What? How many people want to see this guy DJ?" Bah, everybody goes crazy. Dude, talk about like ass clenching and like, just emotionally damaged at that point. So he goes, "I'm not going to play another record." He pulls his headphones off and it's like dead air. I'm like, "What the hell? What?"
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Yo, like, dude, let me get warmed up for this, right?" He goes, "All right, man, we're gonna give this kid his break, his debut, da 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 da," and he plays some music or whatever. And I look at him like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." So for the kids that don't know that are watching this, back in the day, you used to have enormous DJ booths. There used to be big DJ booths, turntables, mixer, lighting console on the other side. Most clubs had a lighting guy that was there with you running lights and shit. But right behind you, and you'll love this, were record bins, right? So record bins, you know, in the vinyl days, you would have like 400 or 500 records back there, right? And that's how it was. Each nightclub used to have their library, and then their DJs would bring in their own shit. But there was a library of music that you could go to at any time because it was all the hot shit. Like every club had it. So I went through there, bro, and I started looking through records that I recognized and whatnot. And I started pulling out freestyle records, Egyptian Lover, African Bambata, Debbie Deb, all this stuff, right? Now, mind you, this is 1990 when this is happening. Okay. So he looks at the records, and we're in Thousand Oaks, by the way, too, right? And he looks and he says, "Are you sure?" And I said, "You want me to play? This is what I know how to play. This is what I like. This is what I want to do." And I remember playing that first record, man. I played Egyptian Lover. Dude, the whole club went crazy, bro. The vibe was just, after that, you cannot, as a DJ, cannot not be hooked. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like that was it for me. That was the seal of approval, the seal of everything. Management comes up to him, bartenders, end of the night, they're asking who this kid is, blah, 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 blah. So for almost the first year that I was DJing in a club, I did not get paid. I just wanted to come and be a part of it, right? Of course, Emery would take care of me, in many, many, many ways as a mentor and so many different ways that, money could not, pay for that, So eventually, when the time came, the whole chain itself took a hit. They started closing down places. I think Thousand Oaks was the last one to close. And I remember I had bought records, specifically for the venue, and I remember storing them there. I remember showing up one day and the boards were on the doors, bro. And we didn't even know what was going on. I immediately called Emery. I'm like, "Yo, what the hell's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, they closed us down." He's all, "Come to my house right now. I'm working on something." I'm like, "What?" Okay. I said, "Dude, I need to get my records." That's all I gave a shit about. I'm like, "I need to get my records." He's like, "No, no, we've got it." He's like, "Just come to the crib. Let's talk." And I said, "Okay." Went to the house. He was already with his father in negotiations of taking over the building. And he ends up taking over the building, and I become the resident DJ for that venue. And that was the start of it. It all started from this little kid that used to go to this place dancing and showing off to getting
Yeah.
his first opportunity. And then after that, it was no holds barred, man. It was every venue that opened up within that era I was working for. Did some spotlights on the local radio stations at that time. Yeah, man, and that was my thing for about a decade between Santa Barbara and San Fernando Valley. I was doing everything under the sun, and it was crazy because I don't know, I don't know if kids go through this now, but we did. A lot of us did. Parents were not hype on the idea of you wanting to be a DJ. They just didn't think it was
Well,
the
was
deal.
it wasn't it nobody had set the bar
No,
for it
I
to
agree.
be successful,
I
you know?
agree.
Yeah.
I remember the first time my mom
Rap
came
was
out.
still kinda brand new.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It
And
was like,
EDM, house music was kinda overseas, right?
well, you know what it
Or
is?
LA underground.
You know what it is too, though? Our generation of parents came from the live music element.
Yeah, yeah,
So, when it comes to live music and live bands and actually the heart and soul of Motown and rock music and all that stuff back in the day, like, a lot of people at that age looked at it as, well, that's not real talent. Real talent is if you can play an instrument, not realizing that turntables and a mixer were an instrument, you know? So, over time, my mom gave me a lot of shit for it, but over time, she warmed up to it. I remember the first time she came and saw me play in front of a packed club, and she was just like, you know, and we just looked at each other and didn't say anything, and she kinda knew it, and, that was it, so that was a full circle moment in terms of being able to prove, because once you get your mother's approval, man, like, that's
you're good, yeah, yeah, 'cause that's your whole I think that is the MO of success, you know what I mean? That's the measurement of success, if you can make your mama proud with what you're doing, and I think that,
exactly.
especially with something that you're passionate about and love, she can't deny that because she knows you best. She knows that you are committed to this thing, and to be able to support that and to gain her support is kinda gives you superpowers, like
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think as even as parents, I'm a parent, so I think what it is whatever your kids are into, man. It might not be what you want for them at the moment, but when you see that they got the passion for it, you start to like it because it's what they like, right?
right, and at the end of the day, we just want them to be happy, right?
Yeah,
And whatever their definition of success and happiness equation is, that's all we want for them is to have,
true.
have
And level of responsibility and understanding that, commitment, which is a big deal, making sure that you support the commitment and understand that if you as a parent are accepting that commitment, that you want to make sure that you're giving them the power to do it too and saying, hey, look, I'm going to be on you too. If this is what you really want to do, then this is what we're going to do.
right, yeah, help them be accountable for the goal that they have,
Totally.
taking the
Totally.
action. Yeah. I see
Totally.
that, man, being a parent. I have 3, 21, 16, and 9. So I'm in kinda all aspects of fatherhood. I'm
Yeah.
I'm adult father, right? A father of adults. The second time father of a teenager, and third time, uh, a father of, elementary school. So I'm really good at the I'm amazing, father for my daughter.
Well,
I'm the best version. I've learned 2 levels of fatherhood.
so I'm gonna give you the exclusive on tape right now.
Yeah, yeah, please.
No, I've never said this on camera before. I've never even posted it on my social medias. Ever, ever, ever. I have 2 sons. One of them is a little over the age of 30. The other one is 27, 28. The 27, 28-year-old is married now, and he's got 2 kids. That means I'm a grandfather, which is crazy. Here's the crazy part about that word to me, okay?
Yeah,
Grandfather to me is like retired old man chilling,
yeah,
But for the longest time through my son's life, through his whole life, everybody has always known what my career is and what I do. So I was always the cool parent amongst the kids, right? I remember when he turned 21, I brought him out to the club. He brought out like 50 of his friends. Like I remember all of that. So being a grandfather though, it's still kind of like I don't know what that word means. It still doesn't resonate with me in terms of what that responsibility is supposed to be. And I'm working on it. My son and his wife, they live here in Simi. They're very, very hands-on with everything with their family and everything. I don't spend as much time with them as I'd like with them because I think right now I'm kind of giving them their space. The kids are very young. Our little boy is 2. I'm sorry, yeah, going on 3. Our little girl is going to be, she just turned 1. So they're still babies, man. They're still trying to figure things out. Like they don't know who grandpa is yet. Like
yeah, yeah,
they're still trying to figure things out. And I think that's why right now I'm kind of giving them the space and allowing them to be parents and allowing them to create this world, that they've already had. And um, I'm looking forward to the later years on it when the kids can really understand and really know what's going on and they can verbalize and they can talk and they can, all that stuff.
Well, can I give you some insight here? Some beautiful insight that I've heard taken from somebody else. I think it was Marlon Wayans. Or no, it was Damon Wayans. He said, being a grandparent is the opportunity to be the parent that you wish you could have been,
It's another yeah, that's true. That's true. I
right?
didn't even think about that.
Because
Yeah,
you
you're
have so
right.
much insight.
Yeah.
You have so much insight. It's not, you don't have the pressure of it actually being your child and actually responsible for their life. So you can kind of take an approach of peace and love rather than, and take the stress out and the pressure off. So you can just be your true, glorious, happy self with
You know,
them.
that's true. I think in today's world, that's very true. I come from a family where everybody had an opinion. Like, there was no like, when there was issues, everybody had an issue. You know what I mean? It wasn't so to that, I can understand that, and I probably take that more as a now thing for me, which is great because again, family gatherings and any type of event that would happen with our families, like everybody was there. Like it was always like it was a big celebration for everything. Now, and even with my son and his family, there's a separation now, right? Everybody's got their own lives to live. There's a lot more responsibilities. There's a lot of things going on. So trying to get everybody together nowadays is so difficult to do. It's a
And
really, really cool thing when that is, but it's very
yeah,
hard to do.
I'm in the same boat. And I can tell you my perception on that is that everyone is so connected social media wise that we're disconnected actual in real life.
I
And I
agree.
and I also think that it makes it difficult to actually bond with your relatives like that anymore because we have all have this social media outlet to express all of our views and all of our perceptions out loud to the universe, right? Instead of gathering as a family and speaking about it, we all have gone off on our own tangents and put out whatever we believe. And sometimes that may rub you the wrong way via social media and
Yeah.
may detract you from actually wanting to be around that person because I've seen my own family. To be perfectly honest with you, I see their political views and some of the shit that they repost. I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah,
okay, I
I didn't know
see.
that about you.
Yeah, like, "Oh, okay. Really? Okay, well, guess who's not coming to Thanksgiving?"
It's funny you say that because it's so true, man. That's why, to be honest with you, man, like when I saw social media coming, right? I immediately knew I'm I might sound cocky when I say this. I immediately knew the drama that was gonna come with it. I knew
It's
right
division.
right from it because it wasn't we were already dealing with that already as it is just in the nightclub world, dealing with all the attitudes and all the egos and everything else. We were groomed for social media, so when it all came about, exactly what you said, I started seeing people posting things. I still to this day I'll still see people do that. I'm like, shit, I didn't realize that you were that way, so but it's good. But here's the other thing too. It's also good because it's information that you probably wouldn't have known otherwise. So it's kind of like, you get fed with this information, and then you can react. You can say, okay, wait a minute. Now that I know this, I might want to push back a little bit. Or it might be the opposite. It might be something, oh, well, this person embraces this. That's awesome. Let me connect with this person more, and so in all things, it's a give and take. I live my whole life the whole yin and yang thing. I've always done that. And here's the reason why. I grew up in a very, very poor household, right? And when you're young, you don't know you're poor. Okay. You grow up being poor. It's not till you get into your later years that you look back and you say, holy shit. Like I grew up on food stamps. My mother had me when she was 16, had my brother when she just turned 18. Young mother, dad didn't work out kind of deal, was living on welfare, food stamps, the whole nine. I remember as a kid, man, my mom getting on our case, go outside and play. I got to clean the house because the social worker's coming over to check out the crib. Like I remember all of that stuff, right? So what's crazy about that is when my mother married my stepfather, when I was roughly 3, 4 years old or whatever, I guess when this happened, he came from a rich world, right? And what I mean by rich is my great grandmother on his side was pretty well off. Most of the family was. My great grandmother used to live in this, at the time, a big house to me, right here in Westlake on the lake.
Mm.
Okay. So living, living, what does that say? Living the lifestyle that we lived at home where every penny was pinched, everything was going on. And then on the opposite side where you had a grandmother that was like, "Well, we're taking the kids shopping, for school clothes, and I'm gonna spend X amount of dollars to make sure that they have fresh clothes for school and da da da." So there was this yin and yang of life for me from the beginning. Everything that I've kind of done, and the people that are gonna watch this are gonna be like, "Well, how did you fuck up and do that then?" You know, I'm gonna, put myself out there. I've always looked at the yin and yang. I've always looked at the positive and negative of things, right? So social media is that way for me. Like I've always said, that it's a great thing for some people. It's a horrible thing for other people, and I think that it's not going anywhere. You just got to learn how to navigate it. You got to learn how it's going to work for you. The one thing I don't do is I don't post anything political. I don't post anything negative. I stay away from any of that. I might post things that are in your feels. You know, the most recent thing was the Charlie Kirk thing. I posted that, because I felt, there's a lot of things I didn't agree with the dude. There were some things that I did agree with him. But when you think about a father and kids losing their father and how graphic and dramatic that was, like that shit just was crazy. So things like that I would, but I would never post it and say,
Yeah,
fuck
anything
him.
connotation or
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna get into that. Although when I did post it, believe me, my DMs blew up and people
I
started
bet
hitting me up and
people are triggered.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, like relax,
Yeah.
you know? So
Let's not forget our humanity here. Whether it's what side you're on,
100%.
what you believe in, we are human beings put here to love and create and not destroy.
It's only the people that have negative vibes, bro, that don't believe in everybody has an opinion,
Yeah.
right? It's the people that have okay vibes that are like, okay, you got your opinion, it's cool. We don't have to agree. Oh, it is what it is. I don't feel the same way about DJing. I'll tell you right now, when it comes to that, it's like if somebody comes to me about certain ideas about DJing that I feel that's idiotic or stupid, I'm gonna tell them. I'll be like, no, that's not how it works. And that's not an old man talking. It's just experience and just the respect of the nature.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that as far as 40 years in the game, how has it been for you to see all of the technological, like we've been there from the jump, from every technological advancement and also the type of DJs. Is there any younger DJs that you have like kind of under you the way someone brought you on that you are working with or have to make sure that we are gatekeeping in the correct way as far as passing along the culture correctly, like you mentioned, like that's an idiotic idea. Let people know. Like I think a lot of these kids don't have somebody saying, "Okay, the blend, the acapella goes with that beat, but it's off key and it sounds like shit."
Yeah.
I think it's a bunch of coattailing it and gassing people up without keeping it real. I think that our job as OGs is to, like you said, let them know that yeah, that ain't the way.
Yeah. Okay. So to answer your first question, technology. I love technology. I've always been a fan of it. I think that from where you start to where you get, the best way to explain it is this. Okay. We all don't use the same cell phone that we started with. We all don't wear the same clothes that worn. Some of us, as we've gotten older, don't wear the same facial hair, the same hair in general. I don't have any hair. Like we all evolve. We all change. We all go through that. It's inevitable that that's not going to happen in your career, any career for that matter. So anything that's going to make DJing easier for you to be able to do it. I think I watched this was a while back. I watched a video of Jazzy Jeff talking about
I've
the
seen
sync
that.
button,
Yeah.
right? And he said, do you want to use a sync button? Use it. That's what it's there for. Who gives a shit? He was very adamant about it. Like, who cares, right? And I'm a big believer in that. I'm also a believer in this. The crowd doesn't give a fuck what you're playing on. They don't care. All they care is that you're rocking it. It doesn't matter if you have a $150 controller or a full $15,000 CDJ setup. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're there to rock a party and you're wanting to do it. So I personally own probably 4 different setups, including controllers. And, it's depending upon where I'm at will determine what I bring out and what I do and I think it's great. Now, with that though, there's that responsibility that to your second point of introducing certain things and when you're meeting young DJs or even anybody that wants to DJ, by the way. It doesn't necessarily have to be young, it's just anybody that wants to.
Yeah, just starting, not as
Exactly, exactly. And what's funny is recently I've actually had a couple of girls hit me up lately asking about wanting to learn, and I'm a fan of that because I feel like there needs to be more really good girl DJs out there for sure. But I have taken people under my wing over the years. You know, there's been some heartbreaks for sure. A few years ago, and I won't get into too much detail with it, but a few years ago, I took somebody under my wing, and this turned into almost a legal battle. Like it was that bad. Like we got into it where a promotion that we put together was affected by it, and it got to the point where, we were probably gonna go to court over intellectual property, like, it was that crazy, you know? Gladly, it didn't, kinda the waters kinda receded and everything was cool. We still don't talk, but it is what it is. But there are the other ones, there's a few guys that I've given opportunities to. When I was the man over at Louis, excuse me, well, what is now Louis, it used to be Bogies in Westlake. I gave people opportunity there all the time, allowing them to be in a real nightclub environment. I remember one specific story. A kid came up to me. He's not a kid anymore, but at the time he was. I was doing a venue, and actually, I probably wasn't even doing the venue. I think I was just there visiting. I think I was just there hanging out. And he comes up to me at the end of the night. He's drunk. Hey, man, I know you're Sweet Pea. I'm like, what's up, dude? How you doing? He goes, look, man, I know you probably get this all the time, but I'm a DJ. If there's ever an opportunity and da 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 da. And I said, really? I said, I'll tell you what. I said, what are you doing in a couple weeks? And he's I got nothing going on. I said, I'll tell you what. I do bogeys. Oh, yeah, I know where you're at. I've seen you there. I said, I'm gonna let you come out and let you open up for like the first hour, hour and a half. Really? I said, yeah, just come on out. I said, I'm not gonna pay you for anything. I want you to come out. I want you to open up. You don't have to worry about anything. Bring your friends. I'll comp you guys a bottle, whatever you want. I said, come through, hang out. No stress, no nothing. Just come in and play. And we'll see what's up. I said, if it works out for you, then I'll put you on the rotation. I said, I'll let you be part of the roster. And he's all, yeah, that's dope. So a couple weeks he comes through, man. At that time, we're still playing around with turntables, so we're still doing that. And he comes on and he goes, I kid you not, bro. He had the worst. He had the worst experience. He was a good DJ, but he had the worst experience. More than once, his computer froze on him. And
Technology.
but here's the thing, man. That's what defines you now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
How do you deal with the
when
adversity?
stuff like that happens, how do you react? Like, what's gonna happen, right? So not only are you given the opportunity to play in one of the hottest places out there, but now and you came to me. You're looking for the opportunity. You were given the opportunity. Now you're dealing with adversity. It's like, wait a minute, you know. So he handled it, man. I heard the music stop. I was outside in the patio. I waited like a minute, didn't turn back on. I ran back over there to see what's going on. He's restarting his computer. And I told him, I said, don't worry about it, bro. Just do your thing. Just do it. I walked away 20 minutes later, did it again. I walk back, I'm like, "Are you good?" "No, I'm good." And he's stressing. He's more concerned about how I'm gonna react versus
Or
anything else, right? So I kept on telling him, "Don't worry about it." Ultimately, it worked out for him, and, I ended up bringing him in and started doing more with him after that, and it worked out. But it was one of those things. It was like, of all nights for it to not work out for you, you were faced with some situations that coulda just totally messed it all up. But the bottom line was, I looked at it as, what was he playing? How were people reacting? What was his vibe while he was doing it before the tragedy? Like all of that stuff. And he was cool. Music selection was good. Mixing was proper. Like everything was fine. So I was like, this kid has got it. You can't help it that your computer fries. I
yeah,
mean,
sure.
what are you going to do? So there's been a couple of situations like that, and I'm always, here's the thing. There's probably about 2 or 3 that I can think of right off the bat that were really bad situations for me in the past, let's say 15 years, right? And then there's a good handful that did work out, where some people would take those bad situations and be like, yo, I'm not doing this ever again. Fuck this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue to open up opportunities for people and allow people to have the opportunity that was given to me. I had that door open for me, and if you haven't been a DJ that had the door open for you that way, um, you look at it differently, you
For
know?
sure.
Oh, now DJs, I see this happening a lot. Now DJs, inspiring DJs that wanna do their thing, they try to befriend everybody so they can just get into it. That's what they wanna do. "I wanna be friends with so and so. I'm gonna follow you. We're gonna go hang out, blah, blah, blah." This is before they even get a chance to have a gig, right? So, I get it. the hustle's there, but how is that relationship built on, first off? Because if you build a relationship with somebody that way, and let's say the DJing doesn't work out, then what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot of
most of
false.
I that's what I find about the DJ industry now that I don't like, started at when Serato popped off, was that everyone was just friends with everybody. Like, everyone just wanted to be best friends with everyone automatic just because we both DJ. Oh, we're best friends.
Right, right.
And I'm really not that type of guy. Kind of guard my friendship and loyalty closely. And that really turned me off about the newer age of it, was that I just felt like everyone was trying to get something off of you instead of just actually being genuinely having a relationship with you because of your mindset and your passions, you know?
No, I agree. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've had people come up to me and while I'm playing, and I wanna learn how to do this. I don't know how many times I've heard that,
Yeah.
and it's like, "No, you don't. Like,
Yeah.
you don't. You don't." I said, If you do, then let's talk, but you really don't," because they look at it as like, the fun and, you're in front of all these people, you're getting all the attention and, everything else, but they don't most people don't understand the grind behind it.
Yeah, and the toll on your body and mental health, because I've been seeing these memes now, like, nobody understands going from this to this, right? So you go from raging nightclub party vibes to alone in your hotel room with tetanitis. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, and what's funny? It's so good that you said that.
Yeah.
I've been saying that more recently, making it more public with friends of mine and whatnot, reaching out to DJs that I know on Mondays and Tuesdays, making sure everybody's cool, because it's so true, man, especially during the Hollywood days. During the Hollywood days, bro, man, that I'm gonna sound like your typical old guy when I say this, okay?
I'm here with you.
Nobody knows what the club life was really like between 2000 to like 2010. Decade of Hollywood was unbelievable. It was pre-social media, was celebrities everywhere. You don't see that anymore. Celebrities do not go out anymore because social media killed that for them. But back then, I remember, yeah, and because you did it too, man. I remember, times of having Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton and all these people in the booth and, hanging out and whatnot. And that whole era defined Hollywood in a way that, in all honesty, will never be duplicated. It'll
It
never
was
happen again.
it was the last genuine era. I think it was pre-clout. It was when shit
Correct.
was
Well,
cool, celebrities would
clout.
be there.
Yeah, no, where clout came into effect during that time is when they introduced bottle service.
Yeah,
That's when clout claim.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that clout took over. That's what took over the idea of clout. Because it was a temporary thing. It was
And then
for one night.
everyone became that celebrity, eyes on me in the club, attention grab, and it was,
Right. Well,
it's
here's the thing. That, in all honesty, that was the be. And I've heard other people talk about this in podcasts about the bottle service scene, particularly in LA and Vegas and whatnot. And some would contribute that to the downfall of clubs, to
yes.
a degree. Now, I have to agree to a point, saying that in the beginning it was okay. I think where it got bad was when everybody could do it. And when nightclubs and places started allowing anybody being a VIP. And what triggered out of that was you had people that were popular because of it, they could afford it, whatever the case is. And then all of a sudden you had other people that wanted that and they started lowering the bar for those people, right? Promoters did the same thing. So all of a sudden was you had your top promoters who I used to work for, and all of a sudden, as things started to fade, they started allowing other people become VIP or become promoters or become hosts or whatever. Now everybody was a promoter, everybody's a host, everybody's a DJ, everybody's a VIP. So there was no speciality to any of those topics anymore, and it became a clusterfuck of everything. And that's kind of the downfall. You started seeing things like, clubs closing down and promotions not doing as well. And it was basically because you gave too much attention to the wrong things. You should have just left them where they're at and allowed people to be. You should have left it where it's at, like most things are. Have people work up to it. Don't bring it down to them.
Right.
Right? Let them work up to that point. They wanna be a promoter. Take them under your wing and teach them the ropes and let them understand how it
Yeah,
works.
bring people on a guest list for a few weeks in a row, like, earn it, you know?
Exactly. Not just show up and say, "Oh, I'm a promoter because I'm bringing 20 friends and they're gonna comp me a bottle." Anybody can do that. I mean, I don't know how many that's another thing. I don't know how many times people have, have hit me up, "Hey, dude, you should come to the club, man. I'll comp you a bottle, bring, like, so many friends." I'm like, "Dude, you know who you're talking to?" Like, "No, I don't do that shit."
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, but again, that and I don't wanna again, I don't wanna sound like an old man, and to a lot of the younger guys that might be watching this, but, that era was crazy. Like, it was just and what's interesting is that, I was afraid of Hollywood for a long time, bro, before I started working in there, working out. You know why? Because I felt at the time, when I was still doing the Santa Barbara, Ventura County thing and whatnot, I felt like Hollywood was the pinnacle. I felt like Hollywood was like, if you made it to Hollywood, like, you gotta be like a superstar in order to do that, right? I
Yeah.
didn't realize I
Yeah.
didn't realize how wrong I was. Here's I don't know if you know this. You probably don't know this story. I most recently, a couple months ago, I posted a photo of the Troubadour out in LA, right? So here's my Hollywood story. Okay, this is how I got into Hollywood. Okay, I'm in between life, still DJing, but things are back to what I was saying earlier. Things were not doing well financially, so I took on a position working for Chic Shoes. Shout out to Chic.
Fuck yeah, I used to them.
Yeah, so I worked at the Northridge store, man, and I worked my way up to management. I was a GM of the store for a little while, and that was in between my 805 career, 818 career to the 213, 323 world. Uh, as I'm still navigating and still DJing here and there, but it was not full time for me anymore. I get a phone call from an ex-girlfriend that I haven't spoken to in probably 3 or 4 years. And out of the blue, she hits me up and says, "Hey, remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you, bitch." And she goes, "So I have a friend that I'm working for, and they're looking for a DJ, and you're the first one I thought of." And I'm thinking to myself, "This is like 3 years ago. Like, I haven't spoken to you forever. Like, what?" So I said, "Cool." I said, what is it?" And she goes, "Well, what she used to do, and I don't know if you know this, what promoters used to do, because I did this too when we started promoting in LA. She was a call girl for him, and what that was we used to take lists, we used to write down people's information, they used to go around the club with a clipboard, take first name, last name, phone number, email address, birth date, all that stuff, right? And what would happen is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, prior to the weekend, these promoters would hire these girls to come and work for them at their house, and they would cold call people. They'd say, "Hey," yeah, they'd have a little script that they go by and say, "Hey, we've got such and such. We're going to be doing Sunset Room, this and that, da 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 da. Forbidden City. All this stuff, right?" And so that's what she was doing. She was working for this promoter, and they had this gig coming up, and they needed somebody. It happened to be a Wednesday night, and he was there with her when she made the call. So I said, "Yeah, let me know what's going on. Give me the info." And he goes, "Well, he's here right now. Let me put you on with him." I said, "Cool." Puts me on with him, and he says, "Hey, she speaks very highly of you. We're just looking for a DJ for this event that we're having. It's not necessarily a club, but we're looking for a DJ for this event. And she told me about you. Can you send me a demo?" I was flat out straight with him. I said, I can't do that." He goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because I have a mini recording studio at home. I'll spend the time to put the demo together to you. I'm not even going to mix the demo. I'm just going to put it together just to impress you. It's not going to serve you any justice because it's not going to be what I like to do." And back then I wasn't doing demos anyway, so I didn't have to really worry about it. I told him, I said that the only way you're really going to know what I'm about is just, I can come and play for you, and if you like it, you can pay me. If you don't have to pay me. That's it. He's like, "You know what, Paul, I like what you're saying. Let's see what we can do." Calls me back and says, "Hey, here's the details. Here's the location. Be there by 7. You go on at 9. You're only going to play for an hour because you're going to open up for the other DJ that's going to be there." I said, "Okay, cool. Done." Right. So I show up. It's the Troubadour. Now, I don't even know what the Troubadour is at that point. I don't know how iconic of a venue that place is. Right. It's not till later that I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's it. It still is. Well, I get to the venue. I walk in back then, this is 2000, right? This is, yeah, like 2099, 2000, something like that. And I walk in with my bag of records, bro, headphones, needles, all that stuff. Walk inside and I set up and I start doing my thing, right? People are vibing. People start walking in, and at this point, I'm already a seasoned DJ because I've already opened up for other people. I've already got my own gigs. I've had other people that have opened up for me, so I know what I'm doing for the first hour. I'm not going to blast it out. I'm not going to do everything. I'm going to set the vibe for this dude, whoever this guy is. I'm going to set the vibe for this guy. So I play for him, and they love it. Everything's cool. 10 minutes before my time is up, bro. This is the worst and the best experience of my life as a DJ. Worst and best. Okay. Not only is it the best because I'm being introduced to Hollywood, and then I'll tell you what happens afterwards, obviously, but the worst scenario happens to me at that time. 10 minutes before before the DJ goes on, he walks in, he sees me, puts his stuff together, gets everything ready. He pulls my headphone jack out of the mixer and goes, "You're done, bro." I'm all, what? And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." And I was fumed. Like I wanted to grab the vinyl and smack him in the head. I was like, "Dude, you don't do that." And so I said, "Okay, cool." Pulled my needles off real quick, grabbed my records, grabbed my slip mats, pulled everything off, and rode off. He went
Who?
on, and
Who was it?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Now,
I'll tell
tell me.
you I'll tell you in a minute. So I I I the promoter comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, you killed it, brother." And he goes, "Hey, let me buy you a drink." And I'm pissed at this time, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fumed,
Fuming.
right?
Yeah, I've
He
been there.
goes, "Let me buy you a drink." And I said, "No, no, I'm good, bro." He goes, "Well, what? Are you gonna hang out?" And I said, "No, you know what? I got something else to do. I'm gonna take off. Thank you for the opportunity, blah, blah." I didn't even want to make a scene. I was just pissed, man. I was like, dude, this is bullshit. And I'm not gonna, put the guy on blast in front of the promoter that I'm working for. Like, why would I do that? So I walked away, let it go. The following day, bro, I get a phone call from an unknown. Okay. He says, "Hey, the promoter's name, by the way, was Steve Lyles. Steve Lyles was a promoter that was hosting events back then and doing things. It kind of dissipated in the mid part of the 2000s. Didn't really get involved with a lot of stuff after that. I don't even know what happened to that guy. I haven't seen that dude in years. So I get this phone call from another unknown, and he's like, "Hey, you just played for Steve last night." I said, yeah, I did." He goes, "Look, I got a gig that we're starting this weekend. It's Friday. Okay, tomorrow, the following day." He goes, "It pays $450. You just got to bring your needles and your records. The whole setup's going to be set up there for you. If you want it, it's yours." He told me that you're dope. That's all I needed to hear. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool, I'm down. Let's do it. He goes, "If it works out, this is going to be your residency every Friday night." I said, "Okay, dope. Cool." Gives me the address. I shoot to LA. It's the grand opening of the Highlands.
Shit.
So the Highlands, for people that don't know, was a mega club that opened up on the corner of Hollywood and Highland,
Mega.
multi-level. And my position was back then when that place opened up, if you remember, if you ever went to it, there were multiple areas of DJs. There was
Yeah,
the
the
main
main floor,
room
the patio, the
over the
upstairs
patio.
room.
Exactly. So I believe they had 4 or 5 areas of DJs. Like that, wherever they could put a DJ, they put the DJ. That's how big this place was, right? So my particular area happened to be the patio that was on the corner of Hollywood and Highland. And you look over and you see the intersection and whatnot. And that became my residency for a year. And that opened up the door to LA and all the promoters that I worked for and everybody, from Hirsch to Matt from Hardball to Jeff
Hayden,
and Hayden to
Hayden,
all these cats that were
red
promoters at the time.
carpet, VIP.
VIP, all of them. Yep, all of them. So it turned into something that I never thought, number one, would happen. Number two, when I started seeing the talents and I started seeing everybody out there, I got a little cocky in this moment. I'm like, what the fuck was I scared of Hollywood for? Because during that time, when I was still doing stuff in the 805 and whatnot, I had opportunities. People were asking me, "Why don't you go to LA? Why don't you do this? Why don't you?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not," because I held it at such a high regard. Like I felt like like if you were in LA, movie stars and all the glitz and glamour and everything, like you got to be on your game. Like I just wasn't ready for it. So when the door opened for me, I was still kind of hesitant. But then all of a sudden, I started seeing the domino effect of things happen on a positive level, and it started
Yeah.
working out, and
And I love how
that
you
launched.
and I love that negativity that you were feeling was when the guy pulled your auxiliary, now would be a USB, but
Yeah.
uh that feeling didn't burn you out from like you could have blown up and turned it the wrong way, and then that promoter would have never passed your info along if you would have bitched at him,
It's
right?
true.
If you would have been
It's
like,
true.
"What the fuck? I got my shit. That's bullshit." and he would not have co-signed you for that next party. So keeping a level head, getting out of there actually turned into the best move you ever made.
Yeah, I mean, you in our world, man, especially, I mean, we talk about it even with social media, you got to learn how to mute yourself
Oh
sometimes,
yeah, I've
you
there's I
know,
mean
and
so many. I've burned so many bridges and opportunities because of something like, that similar story to where I wasn't mature enough to handle it correctly, and also insecure in my own abilities to where I have snapped on people, promoters, delayed payments, uh, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
or switching or bringing in other DJs without my like bringing the headliner over me when I'm the resident without telling me. You know what I mean? Like shit like that, where it used to happen all the time in Hollywood on my
yeah, yeah.
and I had, had hurt some of relationships because of not handling it like that. And later on, of course, learning how to deal with it helped me immensely. But being at a young age, I commend you for keeping a level head, and it actually propelled you and shot you off into, 40-year career now of still
I
staying.
think, it's funny. It's funny you say that because I think that had it been in a different environment, I might have blown up.
Yeah.
If I was in a more comfortable environment, if that would have happened like
Somewhere more
locally or something.
close to home or something that you
Yeah, if it would have
felt
happened
before.
locally, yeah, chances are I probably would have went off on the dude and it would have been a bigger issue because at that, there at least, I would have, you know, I don't know, but maybe I have some kind of backing that would support me to be able to do something like that. But in an environment where you're not that way, you have to be respectful on all levels. Especially, here's the thing, especially if you're trying to create a persona of yourself, right? 95% of the people that know me know Sweet Pea. They don't know Paul. Like they don't know who Paul is. And there's only little glimpses of it that you see on social media here and there, posting mom's birthday. So posting my wedding anniversary, things like posting my birth. Like there's all these little personal nuances that you see here and there. But 99.9% of the stuff that I'm posting out there is all DJ related, so most people don't know the real you, and that's okay. It's okay that they don't know you. What's not okay is if they start getting a misconception of the type of person that you are when it comes to your talents and your career. When they start thinking that you're a guy that can't communicate or you can't negotiate or you can't have a good conversation with this person because, this person might go off or they're very temperamental or whatever the case is, then it's a bad move for you because you're not going to be able to get out there and explore and do what you want to do. So I've always been respectful when it comes to stuff like that because again, what I said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's a 20-person party or a 2,000-person party or whatever, the vibe has to be the same because they're all talking now. Everybody talks now,
Yeah,
right?
it's about
So,
yeah, our job is about how we engage with people and how they feel leaving us. Are they fulfilled
right.
leaving us? Are they satisfied with the experience they had with us? And I think that as DJs and human beings, it's our job to connect with people and leave them with a sense of more of gain when they left us. Like I feel better now than I
100%.
did with before I did with this experience. So, what do you think is
I
the
agree. No, I agree 100%.
after and what I want to ask you, like, what would you if you had to narrow down the your recipe for success of a 40-year career? It's still at the top of your game, probably better now than ever. I know I personally feel like I'm a better DJ now than I ever was even in my peak of Hollywood prime time headlining, traveling the world. I'm better now than I was then. What do you think has is kind of the recipe for your longevity, not only being active, but at the top of your game as far as a full schedule and doing spots that you want to do for yourself?
Cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Hell of a drug.
I'm saying it's a hell of a drug, my friend. It'll keep you up for years.
Yes, and age infinity.
No, man. You know what? For me, because everybody, I guess everybody's gonna have a different answer to that question. But for me, I think what it is that um I just can't get enough of crowd reaction. Like I just can't. Like it's just that's a drug to me that is very, very hard to just walk away from. And I've said this, believe me, I've said this. There's been times where I've said, if I ever walk away from this, if I ever decide I to retire and just say, I'm just not doing this anymore, chances are nobody will ever see me again. Because it's gonna be one of those things where I'm gonna move somewhere where nobody knows me. Social medias will be gone. I won't even care about that stuff anymore. I think that social media for me is 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 uh is entertainment, It's definitely entertainment for me, but it's a necessity to what I do now, right? It's not a necessity to life. Like, it's not something that I need to do all the time, but I'm forced to do it because of the world that we live in and the career path that I've chosen. You have to love it, man. That's it. To have a lifespan of anything this long, you have to love it. The minute that you fall out of love with something, you got to get rid of it quick. And that's the hardest thing that people have a problem doing. It could be a relationship, between two people. It could be a job. It could be, I don't think I ever wanted to be put in a position, even at a young age. I never wanted to be put in a position where I was handcuffed to money in a way where I just couldn't leave. And that always bothered me. I've seen other people that have struggled with that. Uh, you know, give you a perfect example, somebody that's been in a job for 20 something years, they kind of like it, they love it, it's a love hate relationship or whatever. They win the lottery at the end, they quit the next day, right? So that just shows you, what it is. So I think that longevity part of it is you have to have the love. You have to know what you're dealing with, and also here's the other thing too. Just like any love relationship, girlfriend, boyfriend, marriage, whatever the case is, even family. There's going to be some love hate there, right? You're going to love it, but you're going to deal with some adversity and some bullshit too. And you have to understand that that's part of it. It's not all, it's not
Sunshine and
all
rainbows.
roses. Yeah, it's just not going to be that way. It's not going to be that way, man. You're going to have your bad experiences. And there's going to be times where, I don't like to use the word depression. It's one word that I'm not I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I feel like depression in some degree, sometimes people use it as an excuse. You see a lot of people abuse that word, so you don't know who's real or who's not. So you can't say anything about it because you don't know what they're going through. Even though you might wanna call bullshit, it's still kinda, so for me personally, I get in my funks, but I never admit to saying I'm depressed. I'll never say that because
Yeah,
I feel like it's a
I think that it's sometimes it's lower vibration, and sometimes we depression is like a hole you can't get out of, and I think that when you get into a negative thought process, it kind of piles on, that the what you think you become, as a man thinketh is one of my favorite books. And the more you concentrate on what you focus on, you're going to attract more of. And one of the things, I'm glad mentioned that because in our game, in the entertainment game, or any entrepreneur, anyone that lives and is pursuing their dreams, it's a scary place when you don't have automatic pay coming in consistently to hold you down and pay your bills without worry. What are some of the things that you personally do to balance that? For me, I know it's like the gym, reading, journaling, but what works for you to stay on that positive level? Because you are such a giver of energy and positivity all the time. What does Sweet Pea do to refill his own tank?
Reflection is probably the biggest one because I remember where I come from, and that I remember how hard it was getting to certain points in my life and certain things that I wanted to do. I also know, there's another word that I don't accept too much either. It's probably a bigger word, and that's regret. I don't believe in the word regret because of this particular thing. Most of the stuff that I did bad or anything that I've done wrong, most of the time I knew what the outcome was going to be, right? Most people do. Most people know that you've got two paths. One is going to go this way, and one's going to go that way. If you go this way, it's going to be really bad. And then after you do it later on, you're going to regret it. It's like, wait a minute, like you knew it was going to happen. Right. So I'm not a big fan of that word. For me, it's more, like I said, it's more reflection and looking at the stuff that I've gone through to get to where I'm at now. The the big positive side for me, is that, I got married 10 years ago. I got an amazing wife that toes the line in ways that I could never imagine. There's been times where, financially things are rough. She picks up the tabs. There's been times where you just emotionally you start getting in your feels about certain things, and it's like, she's there. So that helps out a lot too when you have somebody that's supportive. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how the hell she stays with someone like me. That's for sure. Like, I just, I've
By
always said this.
choice.
Yeah, but I've always said this. Dating a DJ or marrying a DJ is like marrying a stripper, man. Like, it's the same thing. You're dealing with somebody that's getting all the attention when you want all of it. And that's tough. That's tough for somebody to deal with, where they have to sit back and just watch you get your attention. And for a
Yeah, it
woman
takes
to do that,
very special woman. I've been married 17 years. My wife has been my girlfriend since in high school. So it does take someone who actually enjoys the show,
Yeah,
like enjoys everything that comes with it. The adoration and the love that you get and that you give, that actually gives them joy and fulfillment because they know they get the pure you is enough for them. All the joy and adoration, that's great. They love that about you. But then the joy for them is the side that people don't see. That's where their value is in you, and
yeah, for sure.
I think that it takes a special woman. So shout out to your wife, shout out to my wife, shout out to all the DJ wives out there not giving their
Yeah, that's for
time,
sure.
supporting
That's
them.
for
There is
sure.
no success of a great man without a great woman. I promise you that.
I
So
believe that, man. I really do believe that. Like I've seen it firsthand, and like I said, I don't I I still don't understand it. I'm grateful and happy that she's here, but I still don't understand why she puts up with it.
well, you don't have to. She's
You
got
know,
you
but yeah, yeah, but it's part of it. It's definitely part of it. But it keeps you on your
for
toes
sure.
too. That's for sure. Definitely keeps
Yeah,
you on
yeah.
your toes.
And holding you accountable, knowing the real you and making sure you keep your rates up and not just wanting to work, you know what I mean? Make sure you're a value and making the most out of your value and holding you accountable. My wife does all those things for me. I'm
Yeah.
sure yours does the same for you. And it's a beautiful thing, especially with the schedules that we have at this age. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of schedules, I wanted to real quickly run through what you got coming up. I know November is almost over, December's on its way. We got New Year's. Where can we find you on the regular basis as far as residencies?
So right now, the only residency that I'm holding down right now is my Thursday night, which is over at Louis. That used to be the old Bogies. We started that a few months ago. That is kind of the again the rebuilding of a relationship that I had with them previously. The other places are on rotation. This past weekend, I played at Wildcat in Santa Barbara. Lucky enough to meet the owners there and the management out there. That place has been around for 30 years or something like that.
In
It's
there?
labeled as the number one college club in Santa Barbara. Always a vibe. It's really really dope. So I'm in the rotation over there with them. Locally, Tarantula Hill Brewing Company, they've got an entertainment program where they bring in DJs, live music, all that stuff, and I'm one of their main guys. I'm actually playing there this Friday. There's a new spot out here that just introduced entertainment called Crawford Social. They are more of a restaurant lounge that turns into semi nightlife, not necessarily a nightclub, which is most of places now. Working on them. I just got a message this morning from their COO that their DJ canceled on them on Saturday for some reason. So they needed somebody. Oddly enough, I had the Saturday off, so I'm doing that. So between that, doing stuff for some hotels too, the Cambria Hotel in Malibu, been working with them last year or so. The Godfrey Hotel in Hollywood. An old friend of mine is the GM there. So I've been doing events with them and
Lewis?
playing there often.
Lewis? There's
No,
a new
this is
GM.
Constantine.
Okay. I know him
There's a
too.
new
Dope.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
dope
no,
how
oh, I know what you're talking about.
isn't it dope how these old relationships go to new places and then we have new residencies because of what we've provided in the past? Like, I love that part about it. And especially when our guys climb the ladder of choices, COO, bar manager,
Yeah, yeah.
owner, and then resparks our careers every few years.
Yeah, well, you know why though? Because we've been impactful, that's
Yeah,
why.
well, we're brand official, name brand official.
Yeah, we've made that impact there's a sense of professionalism and talent, obviously, and everything else that follows that. So as these guys climb the ladder, they're making phone calls and it's like, hey, I got this new spot. I can't talk about it too much right now, but I got a phone call, I think it was Saturday morning from a friend of mine that I've known for about 15 years. He owns a little spot out here and there's another venue out here, unfortunately, is gonna, feel the demise of not working out and whatnot. And he made the phone call and told me that he's stepping in January and he wants me to come in and start working with him. And I'm like, dope, I love it. So that, aside from the DJing thing, and a lot of people out here know this. Probably people way, outside of this don't know this because they still know me as a DJ. But a few years back, I took on the operational part of things. So as a DJ, you get your foot in the door. But then, I was an LA promoter for a long time. I worked in Vegas for a while. I understand the game. I understand the operations of things. So I became, over the past decade, I became a small John Taffer from Bar Rescue. We're walking into venues and be like, yo, let's change some stuff up. Let's do this. Let's do that. And as a result of it,
I
some
feel
places worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So as a result of it, it's got me in the door with some other places, and that's what we're looking. That's what I'm looking into next year. Next year is going to be on top of this whole milestone that I've reached, and still being able to do what I do. I've got some people, some pretty important people in my life that have got some money, and we're looking into some venues of possibly taking over, and the whole world of ownership might come around now. So that's a whole nother ballgame.
Well, that's a beautiful progression. I think we're in the era of seeing more of that because who knows better than us? Right? I mean, for myself personally, I started as a
True.
busboy. I started as a busboy, so from bar back, from busboy to bar back to resident DJ to promoter to like I've seen every aspect of it, and who knows better how to make it flow than the people that are in control of the energy most of the times. I
Very
love that
true.
progression and evolution for you because it is perfect and it allows us to age into wisdom, still maintain what we've learned and teach and provide for people, but in a different way through
Right,
hospitality
right.
and
And a big,
flow run
yeah,
smooth.
and a big part of it too is, yeah, and a big part of it too is you have to understand that, first of all, as a DJ, you live this solo life, right? Everything is about you. Everything that you do is about your craft and your name and everything. And it's a solo world. That's just what it is. As you progress, like you just finished saying, you have to understand that you have to you have to pull back a little bit on that, because now it turns into a team effort, right? Like you have to be able to have the right people on a team where you're going to do whatever you can with this team to be successful, and it's kind of like any pro sport. Everybody's got their position. Particularly me, it's basketball. So, everybody's got their position. Everybody knows what they need to do. And, you're dealing just on a pro team, man. You're dealing with a lot of ego and a lot of, I want to take the last shot. I want this, I want that. But in order for it to succeed, sometimes you got to pull back a little bit, and you got to let people do what they need to do. And I think that the people that I'm working with right now, they understand that. The reason why I got the phone call. My buddy is a restaurateur. He's been in the restaurant business a long time, hospitality master. He knows everything, but he's not too big on entertainment. So that's why he called me. He's like, "Hey, look," and I have that background of being around, restaurants and whatnot too. But I don't want that world. If I wanted that world, then I would go get a GM at a, GM ship, or a district manager position for, some kind of restaurant chain or something like that. If I wanted that career, but I get these phone calls. I get these phone calls from friends of mine that I've known for some time, and as they progress, I have a position that can fill, what they're looking for. And now it just comes down to the negotiation part, right? Sitting down and talking to them and finding out what they want to do, where you're at with budgets, how can you handle this, I think that's one reason why I started to get into the promotion game and the operations thing, is I started to see the downfall of the DJ budgets. So I had to compensate somewhere, right? So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not just going to come in and DJ now for X amount of dollars, but what I will do is if you increase it to this, then I can come in there and I can help you do X, Y, Z, right? Because I'm already going to be there anyways, right? So why not use me for other talents and do other things? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that you have to do what you got to do, but you should never, ever, ever devalue yourself, you know, in a sense that, before you were getting $500 and now you're going to do it for 150. Like, you don't do shit like that. In order to get to the 500, you got to work triple the amount. Like, you don't have to do that. For the people that really understand your value and they know who you are, they'll get that.
For
Probably
sure.
one of the best and worst compliments I've ever gotten in my career, ever, and I get it all the time from people, is, "We would love to have you, man, but you're too expensive." I get that all the
I
time.
get that all the time. I get that every
It's
day.
it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's like they don't even give you, like, they've known you and they don't even give you the opportunity to, like, say, "Hey, let's sit down and talk, right? Let's talk about this," right?
Yeah. Well,
Because they
it's a
know where.
it's a compliment, and it's like, damn, you didn't give me a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I
and don't get me wrong, they hold you at such a high regard because of the places you've been and where you've done and your career and everything else. It's like, "Nah, we can't afford this dude." It's like, "Wait a minute, dude." I remember we were doing stuff for the Santa Monica Whaler. Or no, I'm sorry, the Venice Beach Whaler, right? I came on board with them, and then, I started becoming the guy that was booking the DJs for them, right? And putting myself in there and rotating myself in and out and whatnot. And I remember, I got my buddy in there and we were talking about this, and they would, at that time they were having DJs almost every day. Like you would have a DJ on even on a Tuesday, which was like a 6 to 9 gig. You do the sunset and then you're done kind of deal, right? But on those days, it's like a $250 gig, right? $200, $250 gig, right? On the weekends, you're seeing, four, 500, 600 here and there, whatever. And I remember telling my boy, I'm like, hey, I've got this Tuesday thing. If you want it, it's yours. It's like $250. Oh, I don't want to go in there for $250. I'm like, wait a minute. Do you do anything on a fucking Tuesday? No. I said, okay, then there
Exactly.
you
Free.
go. Okay, so and then I blew his mind. I equated it for him. I said, look, $250 for 1 week, times that by 4 weeks. That's an extra $1,000 in your pocket that you didn't have because you wanted to stay home, right? So you know what? I didn't think about that. I said it adds up, bro. Like if you get 250 a day and you're working 30 days, come on, man. Like think about it.
Yeah.
So
Do the math.
as for those DJs that are out there that listen to this, that are upcoming and they're trying to figure out pricing and negotiate and all this other stuff, you're a DJ. You provide a service. I understand there's value to it, but at the same time, understand that you still gotta eat. You still got things to do. It doesn't devalue you to take a little bit less in order to work for a bigger goal. It doesn't matter. What you don't do is you don't try to lower the bar just to get yourself in there. And then all of a sudden, the whole value of that position has been diminished because you wanted that fame or you wanted that gig or you wanted whatever. That happens a lot. I think it's become that's one big positive thing about social media is that we can talk about stuff like this now, because before it was always the hidden thing, right? People talk about it under the radar. Now you can talk about it and people see it and they know. And then maybe it gives that one DJ that's doing it like, oh shit, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
You
because a lot
know?
of time it's just ignorance. They don't even know the game. They don't have any DJ friends. They learned off of YouTube. They went to the local bar and saw that they have DJs, said, "Hey, I'll do it cheaper than this guy," and they have no etiquette. And I think that's part of the missing link of the newer DJs is respect and etiquette, and respecting the art, and proper etiquette between DJs. So I love that. I love that.
I
It's
mean,
perfect.
the biggest thing for that is that what I said earlier. Most DJs that are recently in the game or trying to get into the game, they're wanting the spotlight more than anything, more than the money, more than anything, respect, anything. They want that spotlight to be able to be in front of people and say, "Yo, I'm the man," right? And a lot of them get it. That's the crazy part. A lot of them get it because of what you said earlier, that they'll become friends with them and they'll hang out with them and they'll do all this stuff. You're a DJ, I'm a DJ. We're gonna be friends now, like that type of deal, right? And it doesn't last. Those things do not last. And we can sit here and talk about it all day, to be honest with you. And it's not going to change anything. It really isn't. It's not going to change anything because people are still going to do it. People are, it's part of the culture. The culture has changed so dramatically that
But maybe there'll be that one
the only
person that'll
thing that
see this
actually
and
really,
be
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, like I said before, the people that are coming into it nowadays, they got their 9 to 5 and they got their money and they're cool and they want to just have fun, which is cool. But it's a lot different, man, when you have to choose between gas and food. It's
exactly
a whole
and
nother ball
rent. 'Cause I
game.
used to live in storage unit. Well, sweet pea man, it's been a pleasure rapping with you. Incredible stories, incredible insight, incredible knowledge and wisdom, incredible advice for these young guys. I'm so grateful for you coming on and rapping with me for this time on Truth from the Booth. Uh, let everybody know where they can get you on socials, uh, and how they can keep in touch with you and book you.
I'm big on IG. That's my main thing. I know there's all these other platforms. I have accounts everywhere. Everything is DJ Sweet Pea. But Instagram is my big deal. Like I love that platform. I'm not a big TikTok fan, even though I should be doing it. You're supposed to be doing it, I guess. But
Stay relevant,
for me,
right?
yeah, I mean,
This will be on there, so this would be a good reason for you to start a page.
yeah, I've had it. I've had every time a new platform
Cool.
pops up, I have my accounts. I have accounts across the board. It's just I don't post a lot of stuff. I don't even think I have a post on it. Like I probably have like 500 followers on there. I don't even have a post.
Well, good.
But
This will be the first one. It'll go crazy.
there you go. I love it. But yeah, everything's DJ Sweepy. All my stuff is on there. Calendars and gigs. I post all the time on my IG, letting people know where I'm at. I try to keep the culture alive too with every little thing that I can find that's positive about the world of DJing and our world. I try to stay away from anything negative. I don't get into the politics of I don't get into real politics, and I don't get into the politics of DJing. Like
Beautiful.
I'm not gonna wear a shirt that says no requests. I'm not that guy.
Or vinyl only.
Yeah,
Real
or
DJ.
vinyl only, or no sync button. Like I'm not that guy. I'm
Yes.
not gonna wear anything like that.
Word. Save all that for me. I got you. Man, well, Sweet Pea Paul, man, thank you so much for being a guest on the Truth in the Booth. It's been a real pleasure. Welcome back anytime to share more stories, more insight, more wisdom. Make sure you follow my guy on all social media outlets, especially IG, where he is very active and very busy. If you're up in the 805-818-213-323, make sure you check him out, and it will be well worth the experience. So thank you,
I
Sweet Pea.
appreciate that.
Appreciate you, man. Don't hang up yet. Save this. We're going to edit it, and it's going to be out by tomorrow afternoon. All right.
Dope.
So I'm DJ Prophet. That's Sweet Pea. This is the Truth from the Booth. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow DJ Sweet Pea. Bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. Do it.